Yeah, kids. How's it going? What's happening? Let me get up on the mic up in this mother... What's going on? A hell of a lot since I last talked to you, I guess. I don't know. It seems like the same stories, but they progress. You know, I don't even remember what we were talking about last time. Well, I do remember I was talking about The Sopranos and that song. I was talking about how, you know, you have a song like Layla. You've heard that song for years, then Goodfellas comes out, and you never think of it in the same way after you see Goodfellas. And I had that Shy Lights tune, Old Girl, and that's what we were talking about. I'll get to that in a second because I finally have the clip. For some reason I couldn't steal last week. Anyways, let me plug the gigs real quick because that's how I make a living. That, and I make my own hash. Not a big market for it up here in Westchester. Anyways, and we all know why that is, don't we? No, that wasn't a special effect. This weekend coming, the 20th and the 21st. Spring begins. My tits, it begins. Begins when God says it begins. Apparently God's a big fan of skiing, this jackass. The 20th and 21st, I'll be at the Arlington Draft House, Alexandria, Virginia. That's this Friday and Saturday night. One show each night. One of my favorite gigs, by the way. Good gig. Nice theater. I like it. Had a good time there many times. And then the following weekend after that, the 26th, 27th, and 28th of March, I'll be at the House of Comedy in Phoenix, Arizona. All the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, L.A., Northern Arizona, where the pigs are, whatever. And then Acme Comedy Club, April 9, 10, and 11. I return to the scene of the crime, which reminds me, Another Senseless Killing is still selling well. It's on the top of the charts there on iTunes. Let's keep it going. Mama needs a new fucking whatever hat. Yeah, so thank you for that. Sales are brisk. Let's keep it that way, huh? Because let's be honest. They supposedly started playing it on Sirius Radio. Went into rotation this weekend. But what am I going to do? Sit in my car? And make sure... I was trying to listen. Went up to visit the parents in Boston. Hadn't seen them in a while. And, you know... So I had it on the way home going, hey, what's going on? I don't hear anything. Did hear something from my older album, and I appreciate that. It's another 13 cents. And Treehouse Comedy Club at Marissa's in Trumbull, Connecticut, April 18th. That's good enough for now, right? We'll get to April when April comes around. That's how I do things. I don't know how to market myself. You know that. So, yeah, I was talking about that clip last week. About one of my favorite episodes on The Sopranos, and Tony Soprano is never scarier as when he works with a guy named Zellman, a city councilman, and the city councilman says, look, Tony, you know the girl, the Russian girl you used to see? Well, I'm seeing her now. Tony had broken up with her many times. Hot piece of Russian ass. And, you know, Tony gave his blessings. No big deal, and then he has a few bad days. And has a few cocktails in him. And throughout the whole episode, Old Girl from the Shy Lights is playing. And so that comes on the radio in Tony's truck. He gets a little misty-eyed and decides to visit his buddy Zellman. Anyways, let's play the clip. It's one of my favorites. Even just listening to the audio of The Sopranos, I just fucking... I love it more than anything. I really do. Uh-oh. Imagine having a Jersey boss, the head of the fucking crime family in Jersey, in your bedroom. You're in your underwear.
Sonny? You got anything to drink?
That's Irina, his Russian girlfriend. Former girlfriend. Now he busts into the bedroom. Zellman's in his underwear.
Tony.
Gym shorts.
What's going on?
Awkward.
What's up?
Listen to Tony breathing. Oh, that's the belt. I know that from my dad.
Why don't you just calm down and be perfectly calm? Oh, we can talk about whatever's bothering you. Yeah? Tony, this is crazy. Go! Tony! Tony! Come on! 5, 3,
Ow. Ow. Fucking red welts.
Well, the girls in New Jersey, you had to fuck this one? Go ahead. Cry like a bitch.
And what's great about the end of that scene, she's actually turned on by Tony. As he's leaving, gets right in her face and just stares at her. And she's staring back. Unbelievable acting, of course, on her part. You can tell she's like sexually aroused. That she just, she fucking loves Tony. She's a Russian. She likes that Putin-type behavior. But the sexual arousal, I mean, they didn't miss a trick. And then, as an afterthought, she looks at her Zellman on the floor with all these red welts and marks on him, and she just... He was like an afterthought. She goes, Ronnie, oh, Ronnie. 2 minutes after, she's staring at Tony, lovingly. And then later in subsequent episodes, apparently she breaks up with Zellman because he couldn't perform sexually after being emasculated like that. And that's understandable. Anyways, why I find that so funny. Well, again, it came on the conversation of me talking about songs that just get totally changed in your head. Yeah, I can never hear that song now on the radio without thinking of Zellman and his underpants taking a beating. Anyways, kids, what the hell is going on? Well, we know what's going on. Hillary-gate. She has to be asking herself with this whole email thing. I don't even remember if we got into it. We probably did. Or maybe it happened after the last show. I don't even know. I have no sense of time anymore. It's what happens when you're addicted to Advil PM. This whole thing is just tremendous, isn't it? The entitlement. She has to be saying to herself, what is she? How old is she? 67? She has to be going, what the fuck? Do I really want this at this point? Because you saw during that press conference. Huh? Did you see her? She just was nothing new about her, nothing young, nothing exciting. Just a sense of entitlement and that fake smile. Fucking, she has to be gone. I still predict, I said this on the last episode, that she won't run. I predict that she won't. There's too much baggage there. And she's being treated. Talked about this with Quinn on the phone, and I said, something's up because the left is going after her. She's being treated like she is Republican. And then sure enough, in the papers, the Sunday papers today, big story about, well, again, this is all alleged, but it seems, these guys that write in these newspapers have sources, and they're not just going to put the shit in because you can check it. But the story is that the Obama administration, specifically Valerie Jarrett, is fucking the one who leaked the story about the private emails, about Hillary's emails, and that started all this shit. Because if you follow this stuff, there's no love lost between the Clintons and Obama. And you could see that. I mean, Bill came out and said, there's no man I hate more. Remember? When Hillary in 2008 was getting her ass handed to her, or whenever it was, 2012. 2008, what am I saying? I remember Bill said, he's been quoted as saying. Anyways, the story now is, this guy, Ed Klein in the Post, has a story, and he's talking to his sources, and members of Bill Clinton's camp say the former president suspects the White House is the source of the leak and is furious. My contacts in France and newspapers tell me that they've been contacted by the White House and offered all kinds of negative stories about us. One of Bill's friends quotes him as saying, the Obamas are behind the email story and they're spreading rumors. This is Bill talking, man. This is quotes from Bill Clinton. The Obamas are behind the email story and I'm not going to do the whole voice for the whole thing. I'm not Daryl Hammond. I could do it, but come on. The Obamas are behind the email story, and they're spreading rumors that I've been with women, that Hillary... Yeah, that's a rumor. That Hillary promoted people at the State Department who'd done favors for our foundation, that John Kerry had to clean up diplomatic messes Hillary left behind. That's called getting in front of the stories, folks, because those are all true. Bill's just trying to help the chubby wife out. Then, according to the source, Bill added, the Obamas are out to get us any way they can. The sabotage is part of an ongoing feud between the Democrat powerhouses. Last fall, during the run-up to the 2014 midterm elections, Jarrett was heard to complain bitterly that the Clintons were turning congressmen, senators, governors, and grassroots party members against Obama by portraying him as an unpopular president who was an albatross around the neck of the party. This is interesting, isn't it? I believe, and like I said, the media's going after him pretty good. I think, it wasn't the New York Times that sort of broke the thing? And that seems suspect to me. But my opinion on that is the mainstream media, most of the lefties, they don't want Hillary in there anyways. She's not left enough for them. She's old news. They want Elizabeth Warren or Martin O'Malley, the governor of Maryland, who makes Obama look conservative, for Christ's sake, in my opinion. But that's what they want. The real lefties, they don't want Hillary in there. She's too hawkish. You know what I mean? Let's listen to some of her beautiful press conference. I was laughing till I shit blood. I just hate this woman's guts.
I want it all out there. Now I'm happy to take a few questions.
If you were a man today, would all this fuss being made be made?
Well said, guy from Turkey who fucking English is his 48th language. Already starting. Did somebody tell him to ask that? Why would a guy from the Middle East be asking a question that defends fucking, feminism in this country? Yeah, no, yeah. If she had a dick, yeah, this would all just, nobody would even be asking her about it. Can you imagine we're already starting with this shit? This is why we can't let her be the fucking nominee or the president. I mean, after sitting through this fucking 8 years of horse shit with this Marxist in office, I can't, where every white guy who disagrees or every white person is racist. Now I'm gonna have to listen to this fucking shit. Every time she's asked a question, you wouldn't ask me that if I had a cock. Well, you do got a cock. You got a big fat cock, Hillary, to go with your big fat ankles. Oh, my God. It's fucking, how long before the next election? Oh, my God. And it's already starting at a friggin' press conference where she's clearly guilty of some shit. And I know what you're saying out there, all you nightly show fans go, she didn't do anything illegal. It's not about that. She's not in court yet. It's about fucking ethics. There is a space there. Ugh. Yeah, everybody did it. Oh, yeah. Everybody wasn't Secretary of State. She obviously deleted all the shit that she wanted. You don't get to do that. You don't get to fucking pick and choose. Unbelievable. But, yeah, they say that this Valerie Obama and Valerie Jarrett will go to any lengths to prevent Hillary from becoming president. A source close to the White House told me they believe that Hillary, like her husband, is left of center, not a true blue liberal. She's going to destroy Obama's legacy if she gets in there. Jesus Christ, they talk about her like she's actually concerned. It's unbelievable. The whole thing is off its axis, in my opinion. Holy crap. Let's listen to more of the beautiful press conference.
How you decided which of the personal emails to get rid of. If you think that you...
I decided there were ones that, incriminated me. I decided that those are the ones that I'd toss. The ones that mentioned recipes for diet cookies. Nobody's going to believe that horseshit. By the way, didn't she mention some of her personal emails? She said, planning Chelsea's wedding and yoga. She mentioned downward-facing pig.
Made a mistake in either in exclusively using your private email. How can the public be assured that when you deleted emails that were personal in nature, that you didn't also delete emails that were professional but possibly unflattering?
We have no way of... You have no way of knowing that. That's why I did it. But you see, I'm entitled. I'm the queen. I'm next. I have a vagina. We had a black fella. I stepped aside for him. But I have a pussy. So I'm next. And there'll be a gay fella after me or a lesbian next. And then after that, somebody in a wheelchair with one eye and three tits. He or she will be next. Because we can't have a straight, white, heterosexual male, even though we all know how the country runs best when... That's who heads the ship. Oh, my God, did he really say that? Yeah, he fucking did. Yeah. Oh, help me. You know what? I would vote for a woman president. You know, it would be Judge Judy. I'd marry that broad, even at her age. I love that broad. Okay? That's somebody who tells it like it is. That's what we need. Some Judge Judy justice. So, you're at home and you don't have a job, yet you have 2 cars and fucking stand up straight. Fix your tie. Look over here. I love it, though. She lays it right on the line, right? Oh, you're sucking off the country's tit is basically what she says to every deadbeat that comes into her court, which the country's filled with, by the way. That's the whole goal for half the country, to be paying for the other fucking halves. Entitlements. That's where we're headed. We're almost there. It's we're rotting from the inside out. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful plan being executed beautifully. Anyways, more of cankles.
Did you or any of your aides delete any government-related emails? This was a server that you owned. Is that appropriate?
White House.
Yes, it's appropriate. I live in Chappaqua. I do whatever I want. I will take a shit on my front lawn. It's private property, and she says nobody's going to get that server. I wonder how this is going to go down. Nobody's going to get that server. She wouldn't use 2 devices. This is a woman that always we hear about how genius and how smart she is, but 2 devices. I'm a mental midget when it comes to technology. I get 6 devices. Fucking iPad, laptop, cell phone, whatever else that Apple has put out in the last 19 years. Ukulele, DVD player. But she couldn't handle 2 devices. What a shitty excuse. That's the best that they could come up with. Oh, God help us.
By surprise. And then just one last political question. Why did you wait 2 months? Why did you wait 2 months to turn those emails over?
Yeah, why'd you wait 2 months to turn those emails over? Well, I was busy with yoga and yoga and what have you been doing? Remember, she nobody saw her. She was out of the limelight for a few. That's what she was doing. She was sitting down in her basement with 19 liberal strategists, Dem strategists, and fucking trying to delete the shit. I would love to see what's on there. Maybe she had an affair. Something tells me her and some thick-necked diesel dyke from, like, Tennessee. There's something there. You know. Got to be something there. Maybe Oprah was licking her ass. Again, I'm just throwing that theory out there. I'm not saying it actually happened. But there's got to be some juicy shit on there, huh? But I really think this is too much, don't you? This has to suck the life out of her. She could handle this in her 50s maybe, but she's got to be going, oh my God, I can give speeches the rest of my life and have all kinds of nice shit. She just wants to be waited on, hand and foot, right? I mean, who needs this? Imagine wanting it that bad. I still say, Bill's going to step in and go, time out, honey. Fuck that. You're going to expose me too. They fucking... I would love to be a fly on the wall to listen how, like, the Obamas talk about the Clintons when they're alone and the Clintons talk about the Obamas. Come on, Snowden, give that shit up. Man, would I love to hear that. Supposedly political allies.
Right here. The rules say you have to turn
Secretary Clinton delete the personal emails.
Operation who was forced to resign 2 years ago.
What the hell was that? Hillary was smart, man, you know. They asked her all these questions. Why you think you have the right to do that? She should have given the answer that gets everybody out of trouble.
I'm black, y'all, and I'm black as you're black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all.
Oh, she has to be going, what? Well, she hasn't declared yet. I mean, like I said, and I don't think she's gonna. Martin O'Malley's smelling blood, isn't he? He's like, yeah, man. Heading to Iowa, New Hampshire, all those other places. Who else? Jim Webb, saw him. But I didn't see any of this on the Sunday. They didn't mention any of this backbiting by by Valerie Jarrett and the Obama administration. I mean, they didn't mention it on the Sunday shows. I wonder why that is. Huh? Couldn't be that Stephanopoulos worked for the Clintons, probably has their back. Why wouldn't he bring it up? Right? Maybe he did. Maybe I was making an omelet or something, you know. Didn't pay attention to the whole show, I gotta be honest today when I got up this morning. But, yeah, I'm surprised it didn't come up. And I think I watched all of Meet the Press. I don't believe it came up on there either. But don't tell me that's not out there in D.C., that theory. It's got to be on the streets. Anyways, sticking with politics, went on the nightly show last week. I don't remember what night it was. Doesn't really matter. With Larry Wilmore, and very nice guy. Loved the staff. They were very nice to me and stuff. But I know what I was walking into. Because like people on Twitter going, oh, you got set up. I didn't get set up. I've been around long enough. You think I was going to go on there and get a fair shake? They tell you who the guests are, but they even slant that too when they tell you who's going to be on with you. This guy John Avalon. Oh yeah, he used to write Giuliani speeches. The guy was more left than Eric Holder. And Liz Winstead, who I've known, she helped create The Daily Show. She's a stand-up comic that I've known forever. I don't know if she does stand-up anymore. But she's as left-loony as you can get. Don't hold it against. She's so loony left that it doesn't even... She's harmless. She's almost fucking nuts. But, I've known her for a while. She's always been nice to me and vice versa. I don't hold the shit against them, but, oh, my God. I'm sitting in the green room, like, eating candy and shit before the show. And she's getting her hair and makeup done next, in the next room. And she's on her phone yelling about somebody trying to prevent abortions. And she's talking to one of her underlings. Or I don't know what group she works for, but screaming about abortion. You would have thought it was 1966, for Christ's sake. I even said it to her. I go, really, Liz? In fucking 2015? How many babies have been killed since the 50 million since Roe v. Wade passed? Yeah, it's a real problem. Finding fucking fetuses in toilets at proms and mailboxes. Yeah, like anybody's getting turned down for an abortion. Like that wouldn't be fucking the lead story every night. I was laughing. She was even laughing. I go, you're fucking crazy. But she's a nice person, cuckoo, and she thinks I'm cuckoo, I'm sure. But the whole gist of the show, and by the way, if you don't know who it is, the nightly show, it's the show that replaced in the Colbert slot, I guess. Whatever. I don't know. I don't watch Comedy Central. But, yeah, Larry's a nice guy or whatever. But, I mean, just another brainwashed lefty who... The topic was this governor of Florida, Rick Scott, told some of his people under him not to use the word climate change. So Larry used that as a segment as when you censor words or banning words, it makes the words more dangerous. He takes, he takes an example where somebody on the right, like Rick Scott, actually tries to ban a phrase, which he denies he even tried to do, about climate change. And that was to kick off the segment about, censorship and political correctness was the larger topic. And, of course, my angle was, and it's obvious, and if you disagree with this, you're being intellectually dishonest. 99.8% of political correctness comes from the left today. It didn't back in the 50s and 60s when the religious right had some sway and whatever. But are you shitting me today? Every time somebody yells racism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, ageism, you're going to tell me those are Republicans, people on the right yelling that shit and passing speech codes on campuses? That's what my point was, that all that shit emanates from college campuses, which you're not going to find conservatives that run any college. There's like 0.001% of the professors considered, right-leaning on college campuses. It's no exaggeration either. They're college campuses are just places where you can get indoctrinated into liberal horseshit. And how anybody can disagree with that. But that was my point, and Larry kept saying, you're not listening. We're talking about, in the off-college campuses, in the real world. And my point was, but it emanates from colleges. It has been for 40 years. That liberal orthodoxy comes from college campuses, and those people graduate, and they bring it into the real fucking world. But I didn't make that clear enough, I don't think. But it was still fun. I don't take this shit personally until you get on Twitter and these fucking assholes. I don't know how people do it like Hannity, O'Reilly, or anybody, or even Colin when he was hosting Tough Crowd. Fucking idiots on the left. They're just fucking blinded by their party. How the fuck can you argue that? Political correctness, the majority of it today comes from the left side. And then I had a few people on Twitter agreeing with me that said they were liberal and said Nick is right on this. So, like two. But other people going, oh, he's a fucking whiner. Ugh. And then there were other comments going, you guys could have had a good discussion if he wasn't there. That shows the fucking open-mindedness of people on the left. In other words, if you had 5 people that all agreed and thought like we do, it would have been a better discussion. People actually said that. It's fucking hilarious. But that's all my point was, and how you can argue that is beyond me. And the next few stories I read on this episode will prove that. That's what I said to Larry. I go, you're making it sound like that both the left and the right on college campuses are equally, guilty in creating this stifling environment, But to use, Rick Scott, some obscure governor from Florida, for every Rick Scott, I could bring up, 10,000 college professors or how about every time a conservative goes on a college campus and tries to ask Ann Coulter or Michelle Malkin, they get hit in the face with a pie or something's thrown at them, or they bum rush the stage. I forget, they had a military guy at Columbia, remember, about a year ago? Some like a vet. Some like fucking, literally a military, army guy that did tours in Afghanistan. They bum rushed the stage. But these fucking nitwits are like, hey, what are you talking about, DiPaolo? You're being willfully ignorant. Really? Who's ignorant? When you try and hang out with people that don't think like you, because that's what I do. And I can prove that. Because, I'm a righty and I'm in fucking show business. Not exactly surrounded by people who think like me for the last 25 years. None, actually. But that doesn't mean I'm going to hate them and I get nasty with them, because I don't. But you can do that on Twitter, People get, it's like beer balls. But I knew I was going to be outnumbered. And then we played some silly game. If you guys probably saw it anyways, where they had like a winter hat with something written on the front of it. And you put the hat on without, you don't look at what's written on the front of it. And then you try to guess what's on your forehead, what's written on your hat. And, of course, mine was White Devil. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah, White Devil. Isn't that a good one? Can you imagine doing that? Like, Gutfeld and Red Eye have a black person on there, and, a shoplifter. That's what it says on your hat. I actually went WAP. Does it say WAP? And Larry goes, oh, it's not mean. It's not mean. No, White Devil's fine. Oh, my God. What the fuck? Yeah, it said White Devil. I was proud to wear it. Because what's funny is, I love how I'm called white, because every time I defend the white point of view, like Patrice, my late great buddy, or Keith Robinson, anybody black, I know, DiPaolo, you're not even white. What are you defending that fucking shit for? You ain't even white yourself, man. Well, on my mother's side, they were from Scotland and England. Oh, yeah, I have 1/8 an ounce of Moor's blood in me. But I love that, when I defend the white, but you're not even black. You shouldn't be defending that, Nick, because you're not even white. And then on Columbus Day, I'm the evil white European male, according to all my black friends, all 6 of them. Exactly.
Excuse me.
Exactly. So, but it was fun. What the fuck? You got to get. I know it was going to be outnumbered. Someone's like, yeah, they set you up. No, they didn't. I know what I'm walking into. You still have to just let them know that you exist out there. You know. So that's why I did it. And yeah, Larry seems like a good guy. And Maz, the comedian Maz, I forget his last name, the Iranian guy. He's an actor too, good-looking guy. I liked him the best of everybody I met at the show. He was like this cool-headed guy, and we chatted in the hallway. Maz Jabrani? I forget his last name. I should know that. But he was very cool. And the minute I saw his face, I'm like, I've seen this guy and stuff, a lot of stuff. So, yeah. Liz, and then that guy, and then, yeah. And it was fun. I have to remind Comedy Central that I'm still around, you know. It's so funny when these roasts come out like Bieber. I get asked everywhere, you know. Everywhere. Make it sound like I'm Elvis in 1958. Oh, yeah, people mauling me. Are you going to do the Bieber roast? But people ask him, you know, at the comedy clubs and on airplanes and the ones that know that I'm a comic, if I'm going to, why don't you do the roast anymore? They think it's like it's up to me. Well, I just get tired of getting a nice fat paycheck and getting paid more for one night than I do for 3 weeks of comedy. I get sick of that shit, and I just stepped out. But I got to be honest with you. Let me let you know a little secret. I don't like, even when I did really well, I don't feel good saying mean shit about my comedian friends, even when I'm kidding. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind busting Bieber's balls or whatever. You know, Pam Anderson or Larry. But, well, Larry the Cable, Dan Whitney, I know. I don't even like zinging. I feel weird after. I don't know, because the jokes cut a little deep. I don't know how to fucking write anything less mean and funny. The more mean, the funny that is. But this Bieber thing, it's like Kevin Hart is hosting. He's the most famous person on the planet right now. And Roseanne Barr and who the hell else? Who's the German guy? They used to have the talking car. The alcoholic. Horst Stetler. That's the quarterback. You know what I'm talking about. It's all big names, the point is. It's not even about having funny comics on anymore. It's about, TV is about the bottom line, and the bottom line is the bottom line. They want to get a million eyes on it, and the bigger the names. And now what they figure is, we can write shit, you know, like they did when I did Larry the Cable Guy. Maureen McCormick, remember her? She used to play Marsha Brady, but they wrote stuff for her and went over pretty well. And they write stuff for Gary Busey, and they can write stuff for people on comedians, and it works well enough. Again, that's what you have to understand about TV. The bottom line is the bottom line, and they want to get big numbers, and apparently I am not famous enough, but that's okay. I figure if I went on there, though, in like a jock strap and a nice brown leather vest and a cowboy hat, you know what I mean? Kind of an Andy Dick getup. That's right. I don't know what the fuck that meant. Holy shit, it's hot down here. But let's stay on the liberal fucking lunacy, huh? But I love that infighting going on. Where's this story about what's going on in schools today? If this isn't a ploy to bring down this country, I don't know what is. Hold on. Got it right here. There it is. Yeah, by Paul Sperry in a Sunday Post. I'm going to read a lot of this. If you don't want to hear that, I don't know what to tell you. But there's very few things left that can enrage me as far as politics and liberal fucking lunacy. But this article just made me so I was getting dizzy. I had to fucking lay down after I read it. Oh, mama son. I'm going to read a lot of it. New York public school students caught stealing, doing drugs, or even attacking someone can avoid suspension under a new progressive discipline rules adopted this month. Most likely, they, meaning the students, will be sent to a talking circle instead where they can discuss their feelings. That's no bullshit. I'm not saying that. I know you think I'm joking there. Yeah. Convinced traditional discipline is racist because blacks are suspended at higher rates than whites. New York City Department of Education has, in all but the most serious and dangerous offenses, replaced out-of-school suspensions with a touchy-feely alternative punishment called restorative justice, which isn't really punishment at all. It's therapy. Every reasonable effort must be made to correct student behavior through restorative practices, advises the city's new 32-page discipline code. But here's the problem. Everywhere it's been tried, this softer approach has backfired. Yes, other large urban school districts are reporting fewer suspensions since adopting the non-punitive approach, but that doesn't necessarily mean fewer infractions. In fact, many districts are seeing more classroom disruptions and violence. A national trend that ought to set off warning bells for New York school officials. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're fucking... Yeah. I'm sure they'll take that into consideration. What's more, the movement, which is driven by new race-based anti-discipline guidelines issued by the Obama administration, is creating friction between teachers' unions and the liberal mayors they otherwise support. Now, there's an upside to everything, I guess. Unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Politicians can praise the new system, but it's teachers who must deal with disruptive and sometimes violent results. And here's some of the evidence from schools who have already tried this. Last month, for instance, the Chicago Teachers Union complained the city's revised student discipline code has left teachers struggling to control unruly kids. It's just been basically a totally lawless few months, one teacher told the Chicago Tribune. In June, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel announced the district as part of a suspension and expulsion reduction plan, was moving away from zero-tolerance policy and promoting restorative practices. Students who bully classmates can no longer be removed from classrooms except for the worst offenses, and only then with the consent of a district supervisor. Like schools aren't fucked up enough at this point, okay? Do you fucking believe this? This is what Just as Mayor de Blasio promised last month and announced in New York's revised discipline policy, Emanuel assured skeptics the more holistic approach, which he says addresses the root cause of bad behavior, will still provide a safe learning environment. But so far, this school year, the Tribune reports students have suffered little consequence for infractions as serious as groping a teacher and bringing hollow point bullets to class. You have to have consequences, Chicago fifth grader teacher John Engels told the paper. If you knew the cops weren't going to enforce the speed limit, you'd go 100 miles an hour. No shit. It's that easy. It's that fucking, the logic is that easy, but not for fucking leftist douchebags. In Syracuse, meanwhile, teachers complain student behavior has worsened since the school district collapsed discipline structures in favor of restorative justice practices. They say teens are more apt to fight, mouth off to teachers, and roam the halls under the more lenient policy. They're even seeing increasingly violent behavior among elementary school children. Really? Really? So that's news. If you don't discipline them, you don't punish them when they act fucking badly, that they do it even more. Really? No shit. Wow. Here you go. Kids control the classroom. Los Angeles Unified School District. What do they all have in common, by the way, so far? Chicago, L.A., very, 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 very liberal cities. Los Angeles Unified School District is seeing a similar spike in campus offenses after its school superintendent followed federal orders to reduce suspensions of African Americans. Even threats against teachers are ignored, as administrators' hands are tied by the new policy. I was terrified and bullied by a fourth grade student, a teacher at a Los Angeles Unified. How can you be terrified by a fourth? Probably because he's 33 years old. A teacher at L.A. Unified School District School recently noted on the Los Angeles Times website, the black student told me to back off, bitch. I told him to go to the office, and he said, no, bitch, and no one can make me. Oh, my God. Is this really happening? And you can't blame the kids. Why would you blame them? Of course they're going to take advantage of this shit. They ain't dumb. Oh, stop that. Can you imagine that? Complained another LAUSD teacher. We now have a restorative justice council, but we still have the same problems. Kids aren't even suspended for fights or drugs. This is just a deliberate effort to fucking just destroy everything that this country stood for. I don't give a fuck if that sounds corny or not. Kiss my ass. In neighboring Orange County, that Used to be predominantly white. I haven't lived there in 15 years. Teachers are dealing with increasingly violent and disrespectful student behavior since schools there have also switched to restorative strategy. Recently mandated positive interventions have only exacerbated discipline problems in the largely minority Santa Ana Public School District, where middle school kids now regularly smoke pot in the bathrooms, some even in class, and attack staff, spitting on teachers, pelting them with eggs, even threatening to stab them, according to the Orange County Register. According to a recent teachers union survey, 65% of Santa Ana educators said the softer discipline system is not working. Dozens of teachers have filed hostile work environment complaints. Defiance towards teachers is on the rise in Philadelphia public schools as well, where talking circles, what is this, fucking 1960? Fucking Haight-Ashbury? Talking circles. They have the kids sit in circles, the fucking troublemakers, and oh my God. A former Philly middle school teacher complains minor students act out and then dare teachers to kick them out of class, knowing full well their hands are now tied. "I'm going to torch you," Alan Zolman says one student told him. "I'm doing this because I can't be removed." I guess they're making all this up, huh, you liberal cocksuckers? I guess they're making all this up, people on the right. This can't be verified. Try to defend this shit, please. Please. The whole article, it gets worse. Let's see. The administration, they talk about the welcomes this Lord of the Flies scenario. Thanks to talking circles and peer juries, young people are now taking control of the environment, said, and he's saying this in a positive way. Education Secretary Arnie Duncan gushed in 2014 speech to black students at Howard University. He thinks it's a good thing that the inmates are running the asylum. It's sort of a counterintuitive thing for many of us adults, but the more we give up power, the more we empower others. Yes, because a 12-year-old should be empowered, right? More empowered than the adults that are trying to teach him. Just think about that for a fucking second. And empowering teenagers to be part of the solution, having them control the classroom environment, control the culture, be the leaders, listening to them, respecting them. When we do that, wonderful things happen for kids in communities that didn't happen historically. This is fucking... It's like it's another universe, man. Here you go. Just weeks after empowering teenagers, San Diego public schools witnessed a surge in violent assaults. At Lincoln High School, for example, students reported frequent campus fighting. In just one recent month, there were several arrests, including one involving a butcher knife, according to local TV reports. School officials confirm at least 16 batteries in just the first few months of the school year. Violence is still a problem in Oakland schools after officials there substituted such restorative counseling for suspensions on similar orders from Obama educrats. There have been serious threats against teachers, Oakland High School science teacher Nancy Caruso told the Christian Science Monitor, and yet the students weren't expelled. She notes a student who set another student's hair on fire received a restorative talk in lieu of suspension. So don't tell me this isn't all orchestrated to just fucking, I don't know, race war? Is that the goal of the Obama administration? I mean, these guys are radicals. They're raised by fucking radicals. They're leftist radicals. They hate how this country was founded. Giuliani was so right about Obama, he actually fucking understated how much Obama hates his country. And Holder, you can times that times 10. After spending millions on restorative justice and courageous conversations about race training, Portland public schools have seen their students only grow more violent. After a black high school boy repeatedly punched his teacher in the face, sending her to the emergency room, the teacher, who was white, was advised by the assistant principal not to press charges. The administrator lectured her about how hard it is for young black men to overcome a criminal record. Worse, she was told she should examine what role she, as a white woman holding unconscious racial biases, played in the attack, according to the Willamette, Oregon Week. A white sixth grade teacher at a mostly black Washington, D.C. school told the U.S. Commissions on Civil Rights she had similar conversations in which she was told that the bad behavior of black boys is mainly the teacher's fault. I have been encouraged to examine and question how my own racial dispositions affect my teaching and my students, Andrea Smith testified. Holy fucking moly. If I hear ever again a person of color say this country is racist, I will fucking shit blood. Yeah, it's racist. Reverse racism. I'm skipping chunks of the article. It's example after example. It's even worse. Listen to this, folks. During cultural sensitivity training required of school districts under restorative justice programs, teachers are told they are largely... Listen to this. I'll say that again. During cultural sensitivity training required of school districts under restorative justice programs, teachers are told they are largely to blame for bad behavior of black students because they misinterpret African American culture. The training sessions, which often run several days, are led by civil rights activist groups seeking racial justice. One prominent consultant group is Pacific Educational Group. San Francisco, surprise, surprise, based PEG has collected millions of dollars from dozens of major school districts across the country holding teacher workshops designed to achieve racial justice in our schools. Among PEG's workshops, decentering whiteness in school discipline, and white supremacy, white privilege, and racial oppression. Getting in on our courageous conversation. Here's the course description of a 2013 restorative justice related workshop, according to PEG brochure. Institutions are infested with token people of color and racist white people who uphold white supremacy, causing a survivor mentality among those who encounter daily micro invalidations, aggressions, and assaults in hostile environments. Though a historical overview, learn about the oppressive system known as the American education system, a school system that was never designed for children of color. At least 2 top Obama education officials have received PEG awards at national PEG conferences. So it's official. Obama, your president, is sanctioning this reverse racism and this hatred towards white people and actually, making it law. So, yeah, it's going to go down. I'll be getting off this planet, I think, at just about the right time. Listen to this. White teachers are taught to check their unconscious racial bias when... Really? Do they tell black students to check their guns when they come in the fucking classroom? Or the fucking weed? Or, White teachers, I'll read it again, are taught to check their unconscious racial bias when dealing with black students who act out. They're told to open their eyes to white privilege and white cultural dominance and have more empathy for black kids who may be lashing out in frustration. They are trained to identify root causes of black anger, such as America's legacy of racism. Teachers are told to respect black culture, which is described as more emotional and physical, and to give disruptive students a pass when they curse and threaten them, because African American boys are demonstrative, and that's just how they engage in learning, according to the Monitor. So, yeah, you people who are, attacking me on Twitter after I was on that show, kiss my fucking ass. All you see to defend this horse shit. Yeah, and that all comes from the far fucking left, by the way. I don't know if this country's going to survive another year and a half of this fucking idiot. Ugh. I need a break. We need a break. We got to call on the... You know who. Where is he? Uncle Joe. I can't find it. We need Uncle Junior to lighten things up. Yeah, so read that, because there's more. I get dizzy. I was getting so mad. I can't believe this shit's actually going on. Can you imagine, though? Why would you send your kids, especially if they're white, to these public schools? Why? Because you can't afford the other shit. That's why. But can you imagine? Would you feel safe sending your kids into this environment I mean, if the teachers are considered, racist, accused of being racist just because they're white, well, what's going to happen to the kids? I mean, the teachers are supposed to be the authorities. Good luck with your kids when they start getting bullied. It's freaking homeschool them, man. And it's not just white kids who can't learn. It's other black kids and black and brown kids who take their school studies seriously. I mean, they can't get a decent education because the fucking thugs are allowed to run wild because of some imaginary psychobabble horseshit that some fucking psychologist came up with. Restorative justice. Holy shit. Just call it fucking reparations. Call it what it is. Fucking chicken shits. Yeah. What's else on the agenda here? People are going crazy because I got that song stuck in your head. That Indian guy. I was getting a lot of that on Facebook. That's how we'll cleanse our palate with a little of a friend from India. Woo! Somebody told me to go back to CBS theme song. I had that stuck in your head for a while. When you hear that, what do you want to do to me? I'll tell you what you want.
I want to fucking smash his fucking face in.
I'm sure you do. I don't blame you. Oh, what the fuck's happening to the world? I had another song that I poisoned you guys with, remember? About a month back. The hell is it? Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, here it is. I can't take it no more.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
That's how I feel when I read the paper.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
That's me reading the paper.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
My wife crying in the kitchen.
Fuck you!
Wow. Anyways. Any goddamn ways, kids. Well, that's about it from here. Yeah, I plugged the gigs. Like I said, Alexandria, Virginia this weekend, Friday and Saturday. The Arlington Draft House. And then the following weekend, 26, 27, 28. House of Comedy, Phoenix, Harris. So if you're in either one of those areas, come by and say hello, would you? Sports-wise, real quickly, I don't do much of that, because chronologically, I don't know when you listen to these, but the Patriots are doing the same thing. It's so funny to be a Pats fan, and like they didn't pick up Will Fork's option, who's been a stud for us for years, and Revis is back to the Jets, so I guess he was all about winning, huh? Soulless, motherless, titless. Can't blame him though. You got to make the money when you can. He got his ring, and we get rid of Shane Vereen, who was an integral part of us winning that game against the Seahawks. One of the best pass catches out of the backfield. He's a giant now, and then my first reaction was, "What are they doing? What are they?" And then I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute! I say this every time." And then Belichick goes out, makes a couple moves, gets a couple of so-called washed-up players, plugs them into his formula, and next thing you know, in the AFC Championship again. Might not win the Super Bowl this year, but you know damn well he's looking a year or two ahead, and who knows? It doesn't matter if they buy into his system. I heard they picked up Stephen Hawking on waivers. He's going to be a wideout, and yeah. And Belichick will throw to him 5 times a game and make it work somehow. But, yeah, so that's about it football news-wise. Jets making all kinds of moves with Marshall, the receiver, and Todd Bowles. Is that the head coach now? And, yeah, Revis is back, and they're making big moves, and they'll still suck. Maybe not. Now that Rex is out of there, because I thought he was not that good a coach. Maybe they will give us a challenge. Somebody please give us Pats fans a challenge. Okay? We're bored. And the good news is seeing exhibition baseball, isn't it? It's back, which means spring's around the corner, right? Please tell me. Sox, even with their split squads, are putting up a lot of runs. They get more offense they can handle. I don't know about their pitching. We don't really have a true number one. Maybe we can sew together a bunch of number threes to equal a number one. And but I think they're gonna put up plenty of runs. And in the New York area, Yankees, I don't see much there. Mets have a fine pitching staff, but they're already injured, a lot of them, I guess. So they're sweating bullets. But the fact that baseball's right around the corner means I'd say everything's right with the world, but after reading that article, what's being allowed in schools, I can't say that, really. I'm going to go to bed depressed and cry myself to frickin' sleep. There was one funny story about a meth lab at a fucking Walmart. Was it a Walmart? This isn't the first time this has happened either. Oh, please. Where's that story? It was in Easton, Indiana, I think. What'd I do with it? Meth lab at Walmart. Muncie, Indiana. Surprise. Finally, some white news, huh? A restroom at Walmart in Easton, Indiana has been closed indefinitely after an employee discovered a working meth lab inside. I remember like a year ago, or not even, maybe 6 months ago, some woman get caught. Some guy right in the aisle. He had all the stuff, all the ingredients. So he actually was cooking it in one of the aisles. That was a true story. I think I might have mentioned it on this podcast. A Walmart employee alerted police after seeing a suspicious man enter the restroom Thursday night with a backpack and leave without it. Police say people are leaving the deadly explosive chemicals in public places rather than risk explosions at home. Yeah, let me put innocent people at risk. I don't want to fucking blow up my kitchen. Nice thinking. That can't be good for Walmart's image. Not that not that they cater to the upper echelon of society, but you can't be mixing up a batch. You can't have friggin' Heisenberg trying on polyester pants in the fitting room and mixing up a nice batch. I'm actually working on a bit about meth. Let me play it for you. Play a little clip of the meth bit I've been working on in a club. This is from a few months back in Chicago, but here's my meth bit, some of it.
I was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and you know what that is? Yeah. I think I'm going to try meth real soon. People on meth seem very perky to me. The people that I know that do meth, they're very upbeat people, you know? I mean, Breaking Bad, was that supposed to deter me from doing meth? What the fuck? Those guys are having a great time. The guy was diagnosed with cancer. He's out fucking fighting Mexican drug cartels. Christ's sake, I get the sniffles. I'm on the couch like a pussy watching Friends for 2 weeks. I think meth would be my drug, because I'm a pretty good cook, you know? And, studies, I'll tell you. Make-A-Wish Foundation item. Get
back to the joke, Nick.
I want to do meth. I just don't want the teeth of a 30-year-old squirrel. You see a meth addict's teeth? Holy shit, every other tooth is black. They're going in 8 different directions. And they smile at you. It looks like somebody knocked over a chessboard. Do you know who invented meth, folks? You know who invented it? The Japanese military in World War II. They gave it to kamikaze pilots. Let's think about that for a second. That's what meth will do to you. It'll make you so fucking crazy, you'll blow yourself. Now people are taking this shit to hang out in Vegas on a Friday night. Replace that Japanese pilot with a linen skinned fan, fucking a pair of cargo shorts and a Who Farted t-shirt. I watched a documentary on meth, and the guy said 5 different times, he kept going, it's as easy as making chocolate chip cookies. No, it's not. My mother used to make chocolate chip cookies. She didn't have to put on a fucking hazmat suit and a gas mask. Head out to the garage with her kit. And she fucked up the ingredients. She didn't, end up with 3rd-degree burns on her face and tits. Comes in with a flap of skin. Who wants Toll House? Here's the good thing about meth. You can buy it pre-made on the street, or you can cook it from scratch at home. You think meth addicts have the same attitudes towards meth that Italians do towards tomato sauce? You buying your shit pre-made? What are you, a fucking hillbilly Gabon? Granny's recipe right here from the old country. Tie my cock off and let's shoot a nice ounce to my left nut. That's how she did it. Do you know who was a meth addict? And this is true. I'm not making it up. You can Google this shit. It's not like you can't check my work today. JFK loved his fucking meth, the president. Remember he had a back injury from a war, apparently. I think it was from Marilyn Monroe, sitting on his face at 12 hours of the This doctor used to come to the White House, Dr. Feelgood, and give him a B12 shot, wink, wink. It was fucking methamphetamines. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that White House. Jackie, I need you to go to the supermarket. I need 40,000 cough drops, some ether, some drain cleaner, sulfuric acid, lithium. Never mind what for. Go get it. He disappears in the bathroom for 5 minutes, comes back out. Who wants to play football in the yard?
Yeah, you just got a sneak peek of a bit that'll be on an album sometime. I don't know when. Hey, I forgot about... I'm looking at my notes here. I skipped the whole chunk of the show. The whole Ferguson thing with, Eric Holder and his bogus report because, he lost on the Mike Brown thing and things didn't go his way, and him being a petulant little child had to, put out a report just to let his brothers and sisters know that, he had their back, and there were a couple of emails that were racist going on in the Ferguson Police Department, and, really enough to ruin people's lives who have worked there their whole lives trying to defend shit and defend people that didn't look like them. But let's fuck it, let's do that. So, apparently they were pulling over. He looks at the statistics. This is similar to the education policy. They look at the final statistics, like in the school thing. They go, more blacks are being suspended than whites, so that means that's racism. Instead of going to the next level, the next question, well, are they behaving worse than the white students? And the answer would be yes, because they're from broken homes or whatever reason, right? But they don't do that. They stop at the statistics and just go, oh, that must be racism. And he does the same thing. And yes, there's racist cops in Ferguson. Obviously, you think you could deal with that type of environment for 20-something years and not have a couple of racist emails? I mean, what a childish... And, so we're going to talk about dismantling, and this was last week or whatever. And that's why I like this Sheriff Clark. Have you seen this guy? I think he's a Milwaukee sheriff. He's a black sheriff. And here's him commenting. This is him commenting, I think after after Holder's report came out.
After those riots in Ferguson, Missouri broke out, the Justice Department final report is out. And the Justice finding that widespread discrimination throughout the police department there.
Yes.
But not in the shooting of Michael Brown himself. Now Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark is this report will
County Sheriff, and he's black.
All police officers
and this is him.
As racist. The Attorney General kept saying, in Ferguson. But you think subliminally the message is, suspect all police officers?
Subliminally?
Neil, 2 words, witch hunt. The pattern is there. Some of the inflammatory rhetoric we've heard from the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder. He has had Ferguson, Missouri in his crosshairs ever since the Mike Brown and Officer Darren Wilson tragic situation occurred. He did not have an open mind. He had a predetermined mindset going into this investigation, and I think that's what we're seeing here. I'm not buying one word of his conclusion here. It's because the Attorney General doesn't have any integrity anymore. This is the only Attorney General in the history of the Department of Justice that's been found in contempt of Congress.
This guy's black, by the way.
Not supplying Congress with the reports that they needed to conduct their investigation. Now, he goes into Ferguson, Missouri, and other cities across the United States, and he demands information and reports to see what's going on there. If I were the chief of Ferguson at the time, I would have said, Mr. Holder, I'll be more than glad to hand over all the information and reports you need as soon as you supply Congress with the information they need so they can conduct their investigation.
Fast and furious.
I think it's a sad day. I really do. I think that Eric Holder has an animosity, a genuine hostility toward local law enforcement, specifically white police officers.
Amen.
He truly believes, and I believe this, that he thinks that every white police officer is a stone-cold racist, and it's just simply not true.
That's from a black sheriff, by the way. Okay. And, of course, there's racist elements in the Ferguson Police Department, I'm sure everywhere. But don't you think, and that report said that they were hitting poor black people up, as far as speeding tickets and arrests and ever, to obviously bring more revenue. That happens in poor white towns, too. But Holder's like, this is just an isolated thing. This isn't an isolated thing. No, it's not. Wherever there's poor black people, this is going on, probably. Meaning violence, unnecessary violence against the cops, is what I meant. Of course, there's tension. But he didn't get his way with the Mike Brown thing because the report, cleared Darren Wilson as much as Holder wanted it to go the other way. So this is his final, F you to Ferguson and to white cops because he's going to be gone like next week. That lady, Loretta Lynch, is taking his place, who I kind of like, by the way. I've heard her a few times. This black woman who's like reminds me of Judge Judy. She's no bullshit. We'll see, though. So that was after the report. And after the report came out, what happened, folks? 2 cops get shot in Ferguson this past week, right? So here's Sheriff Clark on that.
Well, this war on our nation's finest, the American police officer, continues, but it continues to be fueled by some very important people. I think it's empty rhetoric for what Eric Holder offered today and the president through a tweet, of all things, when they have now an obligation to stand up and remind people in these urban ghettos and these American ghettos that they have a responsibility to comply with law enforcement officers' commands. If we want to end these deadly encounters between police and citizens, then we have to tell these young black men to stop attacking the police, stop fighting the police, stop resisting the police when they're trying to pull you over, and cooperate with their lawful commands. And if they have complaints about the way they're treated, some of these may be justified. There's a process for that. So, the fact that Eric Holder released this report last week, and by the way, that was a junk report because there was no objectivity. He cherry-picked a few emails and he misapplied and used a misapplication of data and statistics.
You're talking about the one where he said that there was blatant racism going on in Ferguson. Do you think that's fed what ultimately happened?
Well, no, but it continues to fuel this cop hatred, this anti-police sentiment that's going on in America. That used to be underground. We haven't seen these types of assault on the institution of policing since the turbulent 60s, the riots of the 60s that hit a lot of urban centers in America. And now it's come to the surface because they feel by some.
Anyways, and just as I started to do this tonight, this happened today.
I want to let you know this morning that we have filed charges just a few minutes ago against Jeffrey Williams. Jeffrey Williams, a 20-year-old man. He is now charged with 2 counts of assault in the first degree for the 2 police officers who were shot.
They got the guy today.
A couple days ago in Ferguson in front of the police station. Also charged with firing a weapon from a vehicle, which is a Class B felony in the state of Missouri, and charged with 3 counts of armed criminal action, 1 for each one of those. Essentially, at this point, and the investigation, I want to stress, is ongoing. There's still an awful lot to be done. But the charge at this point is a result of the investigation so far. Essentially, what we've charged him with is firing shots. It's possible at this point that he was firing shots at someone other than the police.
They're not on the heels in Ferguson, are they? That would be a hell of a coincidence, huh? that all this animosity between the community and the local police, and then the Eric Holder report saying there's definitely a racist police force, and then 2 Ferguson cops get shot, but the guy wasn't probably aiming for them. Yeah, just a coincidence, right? The poor bastards, they're on their heels. Can you blame them in Ferguson? What are you going to do?
But struck the police officer. So the charge is still assault in the first degree. They're Class A felonies for striking those 2 officers. There was a weapon.
Anyways, so, well, that was a wrap-up on the Ferguson thing. Glad they got that kid. Holder called the kid a punk, like, you know, you could tell he almost said it defensively, like that had nothing to do with my report. No, they're totally disconnected, Mr. Holder. It's just my opinion, and a billion other people's. But God help us. Anyways, I almost forgot that whole part of the show. That would have been kind of silly, huh? That's about it, yo. All right. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the clubs. I'm doing Creek and Cave, too, in Long Island City. Working on new stuff. That's like a workspace. It's not even a comedy club. It holds like 22 people, and there might be 8 people in the yard. It's a great place, though, just to get the words out. I'm going back old school. You got to go back to your roots as far as comedy goes when you're starting a new album or whatnot. But I'd say I'm at least 35, 40 minutes into a new hour. Yeah. Got to concentrate. All right, kids. That is it. Liberace. Tell these people how I feel.
I love you for helping me to construct of my life, not a tavern, but a temple. I love you because you have done so much to make me happy. You have done it without a word, without a touch, without a sign. You have done it by just
And you blew it!
being yourself.
You blew it!
Perhaps, after all, that is what love means.
And you blew it!
And
You
that
blew
is
it!
why I love you.
Until next week, kids. Yeah, kids. How's it going? What's happening? Let me get up on the mic up in this mother. What's going on? A hell of a lot since I last talked to you, I guess. I don't know. It seems like the same stories, but they progress. You know, I don't even remember what we were talking about last time. Well, I do remember I was talking about The Sopranos and that song. I was talking about how, you know, you have a song like Layla. You've heard that song for years, then Goodfellas comes out, and you never think of it in the same way after you see Goodfellas. And I had that Shy Lights tune, Oh Girl, and that's what we were talking about. I'll get to that in a second because I finally have the clip. For some reason I couldn't steal last week. Anyways, let me plug the gigs real quick because that's how I make a living. That, and I make my own hash. Not a big market for it up here in Westchester. Anyways, and we all know why that is, don't we? No, that wasn't a special effect. This weekend coming, the 20th and the 21st, spring begins. My tits, it begins. It begins when God says it begins. Apparently God's a big fan of skiing, this jackass. The 20th and 21st, I'll be at the Arlington Draft House, Alexandria, Virginia. That's this Friday and Saturday night. One show each night. Oh, that's the belt. I know that from my dad.
Want to just calm down and be perfectly calm. Oh, we can talk about whatever's bothering you. Yeah? Tony, this is crazy. Go! Tony! Tony! Come on! Fire! Go! Tony! Go!
Ow! Ow! Fucking red welts.
Well, the girls in New Jersey, you had to fuck this one? Go ahead. Cry like a bitch.
And what's great about the end of that scene, she's actually turned on by Tony as he's leaving, gets right in her face and just stares at her. And she's staring back. Unbelievable acting, of course, on her part. You can tell she's like sexually aroused. That she just, she fucking loves Tony. She's a Russian. She likes that Putin-type behavior. But the sexual arousal, I mean, they didn't miss a trick. And then, as an afterthought, she looks at her Zellman on the floor with all these red welts and marks on him, and she just... He was like an afterthought. She goes, Ronnie, oh, Ronnie. 2 minutes after, she's staring at Tony lovingly. And then later in subsequent episodes, apparently she breaks up with Zellman because he couldn't perform sexually after being emasculated like that. And Toronto is never scarier as when he works with a guy named Zellman, a city councilman. And the city councilman says, look, Tony... the Russian girl you used to see, well, I'm seeing her now. Tony had broken up with her many times. Hot piece of Russian ass. And, Tony gave his blessings. No big deal, And then he has a few bad days and has a few cocktails in him. And throughout the whole episode, Old Girl from the Shylights is playing. And so that comes on the radio in Tony's truck. He gets a little misty-eyed and decides to visit his buddy Zellman. Anyways, let's play the clip. It's one of my favorites. Even just listening to the audio of The Sopranos, I love it more than anything. I really do. Uh-oh. Imagine having a Jersey boss, the head of the fucking crime family in Jersey, in your bedroom. You're in your underwear.
You got anything to drink?
That's Irina, his Russian girlfriend. Former girlfriend. Now he busts into the bedroom. Zellman's in his underwear.
Tony.
Gym shorts.
What's going on?
Awkward.
What's up?
Listen to Tony breathing. One of my favorite gigs, by the way. Good gig. Nice theater. I like it. Had a good time there many times. And then the following weekend after that, the 26th, 27th, and 28th of March, I'll be at the House of Comedy in Phoenix, Arizona. All the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, L.A., Northern Arizona, where the pigs are, whatever. And then Acme Comedy Club, April 9, 10, and 11. I return to the scene of the crime, which reminds me, Another Senseless Killing is still selling well. It's on the top of the charts there on iTunes. Let's keep it going. Mama needs a new fucking whatever hat. Yeah. So thank you for that. Sales are brisk. Let's keep it that way, huh? Because let's be honest. They supposedly started playing it on Sirius Radio. Went into rotation this weekend. But what am I going to do? Sit in my car and make sure? I was trying to listen. Went up to visit the parents in Boston. Hadn't seen them in a while. And, so I had it on the way home going, hey, what's going on? I don't hear anything. Did hear something from my older album, and I appreciate that. It's another 13 cents. In Treehouse Comedy Club at Marissa's in Trumbull, Connecticut, April 18th. That's good enough for now, right? We'll get to April when April comes around. That's how I do things. I don't know how to market myself. You know that. So, yeah, I was talking about that clip last week. About one of my favorite episodes on The Sopranos and Tony's. That's understandable. Anyways, why I find that so funny. Well, again, it came on the conversation for me talking about songs that just get totally changed in your head. Yeah, I can never hear that song now on the radio without thinking of Zellman and his underpants taking a beating. Anyways, kids, what the hell is going on? Well, we know what's going on. Hillary-gate. She has to be asking herself with this whole email thing. I don't even remember if we got into it. We probably did. Or maybe it happened after the last show. I have no sense of time anymore. It's what happens when you're addicted to Advil PM. This whole thing is just tremendous, isn't it? The entitlement. She has to be saying to herself, what is she? How old is she? 67? She has to be going, what the fuck Do I really want this at this point? Because you saw during that press conference, huh? Did you see her? She just was nothing new about her, nothing young, nothing exciting. Just a sense of entitlement and that fake smile. Fucking, she has to be gone. I still predict, I said this on the last episode, that she won't run. I predict that she won't. There's too much baggage there. And she's being treated. Talked about this with Quinn on the phone, and I said, something's up because the left is going after her. She's being treated like she is Republican. And then sure enough,